You might think your body gives a loud warning before a medical emergency, but when a stroke strikes, the reality is often much more subtle. Thousands of people experience the early signs of a cerebrovascular event every year, yet many dismiss them as mere fatigue or a bad headache. What is actually happening in the final hour before brain tissue begins to die? The answer lies in a silent, microscopic race against time happening deep inside your cerebral arteries. In the hour leading up to a stroke, specifically an ischemic stroke, which accounts for the vast majority of cases, a blood clot begins to physically obstruct an artery feeding the brain. As that clot travels, it narrows the passage for blood flow. Initially, the brain cells distal to the blockage remain alive, but they are starving. They begin to switch from aerobic metabolism to anaerobic metabolism to compensate for the lack of oxygenated blood. This chemical shift causes a buildup of lactic acid in the immediate area. Because the brain is an incredibly energy-hungry organ, consuming about 20% of your body's total oxygen, these cells have zero margin for error. As the oxygen debt deepens, the internal chemistry of your neurons shifts dramatically. The sodium-potassium pumps, which are responsible for maintaining the electrical potential of your brain cells, begin to fail. This is the hidden turning point. When these pumps stop, calcium ions, which are usually kept strictly outside the cell, begin to flood the interior. This calcium cascade acts like a chemical detonator. Inside your brain, this causes an immediate release of neurotransmitters, leading to an overexcitation of surrounding neuron. It's like an electrical storm that spreads outward from the site of the blockage, further stressing cells that are already fighting to stay functional. But here is where the physical symptoms start to manifest in ways most people overlook. As blood flow to specific regions of the brain decreases, you might experience the transient phase. This is often when a person feels a sudden, inexplicable numbness on one side of their body. It is the result of the primary motor cortex failing to receive its required perfusion. You might struggle to lift a coffee cup, or find that one side of your face feels heavy or wooden. These sensations occur because your brain's control center is effectively having its power cord pulled. Research suggests that many people in this hour-long window experience a sudden, intense confusion or difficulty with speech, often described as word salad. This happens because the language centers, usually located in the left hemisphere, are extremely sensitive to blood pressure drops. If the blockage is localized there, your ability to articulate thoughts collapses even while your brain is still trying to formulate them. Scientists believe this is one of the most critical windows for intervention, yet it is frequently misidentified as simple exhaustion or dehydration. It gets even more complex. In the final minutes before the blood flow ceases entirely, the body may trigger an autonomic nervous system response. You might notice a sudden, inexplicable spike in blood pressure as your heart tries to force blood through the narrowing artery. This is a desperate, compensatory mechanism. Some studies indicate that individuals might experience a thunderclap headache, a sensation so sharp and sudden that it feels like a physical strike. This is caused by the sudden stretching of blood vessels and the irritation of the protective linings of the brain due to the rapid pressure change. Who is most at risk? While anyone can suffer a stroke, those with undiagnosed hypertension or atrial fibrillation are at the highest risk. In these individuals, the hour before can be shorter and more aggressive, as the body has less capacity to compensate for the sudden drop in perfusion. Age and genetics play a role, but the most significant factor remains the presence of plaque buildup, atherosclerosis, which creates the perfect conditions for a clot to snag and stall. The takeaway is clear. The brain does not have a silent mode. It is constantly communicating its needs through the feedback loop of your motor and sensory functions. If you or someone near you suddenly loses coordination, experiences slurred speech, or suffers from an intense, localized sensory change, the brain is screaming for help. Time is brain tissue. Every minute that passes without blood flow means millions of neurons are permanently lost. If you notice these signs, emergency medical intervention is the only thing that can reverse the cascade. Have you ever noticed a sudden, unexplained change in your coordination or speech that you If you found this insight into the human body valuable, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more science-backed health facts.